Okay, so if you look, we have our picture. We have two lines cut by a transversal here. And we are going to be talking about what happens when our lines are parallel. Okay, so if we're looking at that first theorem, it's called the alternate interior angles theorem. And it says, if two parallel lines are cut by a transversal, is what we're going to fill in. Okay, if two parallel lines are cut by a transversal, then each pair of alternate interior angles is congruent. Okay, alternate interior angles are congruent. So, let me draw a pair of parallel. What symbol did we talk about yesterday that lets us know that our lines are parallel? Little what's on them? Little arrows, right? So you would have some sort of, that is not an arrow, sorry. Try that one more time. Some sort of marking to tell you that they're parallel. Then we have our transversal. And what do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So if we're looking not at the picture on your notes, but look at the picture up here on the board. Give me a pair of a pair of alternate interior angles.
Alternate, so.
Alternate interior.
One and.
Interior.
Oh, interior.
Pair of alternate interior angles from this picture right. Which one? Not 3 and 5. Those are same side. 3 and 6. Yeah, alternate interior angles. So in this picture, angle 3 and angle 6 would be congruent because my lines are parallel. What is the other pair of alternate interior angles?
4 and 5.
4 and 5. Those would also be congruent because my lines are parallel. Okay? Then the next theorem says, again, if two parallel lines are cut by a transversal, is what we're filling in again. Then each pair of same side interior angles is supplementary. What does supplementary mean?
Equals.
That's equal 180, yes. So again, if I'm looking at my picture on the board, give me a pair of same side interior angles.
3 and 5.
3 and 5. That means those two would add up to be 180. What's the other pair of same side interior angles? 4 and 6. Those would also add up to be 180. The next theorem is going to match pretty much the alternate interior theorem. It says if two parallel lines are cut by a transversal again, then each pair of alternate exterior angles is also congruent. If two parallel lines are cut by a transversal, both alternate interior and alternate exterior angles are congruent. What would be alternate exterior to 1? 1 and 8, those would be congruent. What's the other pair? 2 and 7, those would also be congruent. Everybody okay with that? Took me a minute to think about what that next one was saying, sorry. The next blank, it says, a special relationship also exists when the transversal of parallel lines is a perpendicular line. What does it mean to be perpendicular? What kind of angles do two lines form if they're perpendicular? They do intersect, yes, but what's the degrees if they're perpendicular? 90, okay. So in a plane, if a line is perpendicular to one of two parallel lines, then it is going to be perpendicular to the other parallel line. Okay, and I want to talk about the abbreviation or the how you write that. So it has our picture over here. If A is parallel to B, and we know that because of these little arrows that they put, if I can highlight here, those little arrows tell me that A and B are parallel. this next part, this means A is perpendicular. An upside down T means perpendicular. Okay, that means A is perpendicular to T, and we can see that right here where they have that right angle mark. And if A is perpendicular to T, and A is also parallel to B, then B is also going to be perpendicular to T. That's what it's saying. So if it's perpendicular to one of the lines, it's going to be perpendicular to the other line as long as the lines are parallel. Now, one that is not mentioned here before we move on is the same side exterior angles. Those also have the same relationship as same side interior. They are supplementary. And the easiest way to remember it is same side is supplementary. Think about that. They all sound the same. Yep. Okay. And then alternate interior, alternate exterior, and corresponding angles, which, why is that just not written here? That one is missed. Let's put a little note out. Okay. Put corresponding angles. If your lines are parallel, are congruent. Okay, corresponding angles, as long as my lines are parallel. Corresponding angles are congruent, alternate interior and alternate exterior. And then same side interior and same side exterior are supplementary. Let me ask you a question. In this picture up here on the board, which one is corresponding to one? Which one's in the same place but on the other line? 7. Top left.
8.
Top left of these.
5.
5, yeah. So 1 and 5 are corresponding. What would be corresponding to 3? 7. What would be corresponding to 2? 6. And what would be corresponding to 4? 8. Okay, all of those are going to be congruent, each one of those pairs. All right, let's take a look then at this picture. Is everybody, can you see the numbers in that picture? That's kind of hard, but so it says cross ties. Everybody knows what a cross tie is, right, on a railroad track? The little things that the train runs on. Okay. I and K are parallel. I is going to be the one right here. K is the one at the bottom. It says that they are parallel. And both cross ties are intersected by H. So let me see if my highlighting works. Here's H. Oh, it doesn't really work there, but. And then I and K are there. And it says that those are parallel. And it is intersected by H. And what it is saying is that the measure of angle 1 is 42. And I think what I'd rather do is redraw that over here. Let me draw this. That's I. That's K. And here's H. And that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so I'm just redrawing that picture just so I can see it clearly. Now, what it tells me is that the measure of angle 1 is 42 degrees. Okay. So we're going to write that in our picture. Oops. And it wants to know what angle 7 is. So the first thing we have to figure out is what angle pair are they? Are they corresponding? Are they alternate interior? Are they alternate exterior? Are they same side interior or same side exterior? Alternate exterior. And we said that alternate exterior angles are going to be what? Congruent. So what would angle 7 be? 42 degrees. That make sense? Okay. All right, and then we're going to do the next example. But I'm also going to draw this picture on the board so I can have it a little bit bigger and write all this. The key here is when we do these types of problems, you're going to want to draw on your picture. Okay, first of all, we have our little arrows that tell us that our lines are parallel. Can't really see that far, sorry. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, what does it tell us about angle 1? What is angle 1? 65 degrees. And it wants us to fill in every other angle in this picture. Is that correct? Okay. So when we do that, first of all, we also know a few other things that don't deal with alternate interior, alternate exterior, same side interior, same side exterior. What do we know about vertical angles? They're congruent. And then a linear pair would add up to be 180, which we can also use throughout this picture. So let's start. What is vertical to the angle 1? 3. So guess what angle 3 is going to be? 65. Okay. All right, and then we can use our alternate interior, alternate exterior stuff. This is on the outside. So what is the alternate exterior to this? 7. So what would angle 7 be? 65, which means what other angle down here is going to be 65?
5.
Okay. Aren't those alternate interior? Right? Okay. How could I go about finding angle 2? What? They're what? They're supplementary, right? So we would take the 180, and we would subtract the 65. And that's going to be 115. And so if angle 2 is 115, what else is 115?
4.
Mm-hmm. And what would angle 6 be?
115.
115. And angle 8 would also be?
115.
115. When you have two parallel lines cut by a transversal, you will only have two different angle measures, okay? And they are going to basically mirror each other, top and the bottom, okay? These are corresponding. These are alternate exterior, congruent, congruent. These are a linear pair, corresponding, alternate interior, congruent, congruent. So it just basically mirrors itself at the top and the bottom. So if we have something like that, which we will on our test, just make sure you draw on your picture. Don't try to keep everything straight in your head. Is everybody okay with that one? All right. Now we're going to put a little bit of algebra to it. It says, use the figure to find the value of the indicated variables, justify your reasoning. So let's start with this. What does it tell me about angle 3? Okay, so angle 3 is 4x plus 7. I'm going to try to write it on here. I don't think I'll have that much room, but this is 4x plus 7. Whoops. And then what else does it tell me? Angle
6 is 5x minus 2.
I can get my pen to write. So let me ask you this first. What? Oh, thank you. What kind of angles are 3 and 6? Alternate interior. And what do we know about alternate interior angles? They're congruent. So if I wanted to solve for x, what would I do to those two things? Set them equal to each other. So I'm going to say, if my pen would write, 4x plus 7 is going to equal 5x minus 13. So take a minute and solve that for x. And the key here is being able to identify what pair they are so that you know if they are either congruent or supplementary. If they're congruent, you set them equal to each other. If they are supplementary, then you add them and set them equal to 180. It is asking us to find the value of x, so we need to solve this equation. I'm going to subtract my 4x over. That leaves me with 7 equals x minus 13. I'm going to come over here because I'm out of room. How do I get x by itself? Add the 13. And so what is it that x is going to equal? 20. Everybody okay with that? Now I'm going to go back to this picture. I'm going to erase what I already wrote down because I need to look at what we're going to do for y. So first of all, what two angles are we talking about for y?
Angle 8 and angle 3.
Okay. Angle 8 whoops, angle 8 and angle 3. All right, let me ask you this. Let's do this. What does it tell me about angle 8? It's 68, okay. What other angle around there, around 8, would also be 68? 5, okay. And then what I want to look at is this. What kind of angle pair are 3 and the 68 degree angle? I just circle them. Alternate interior, alternate exterior, corresponding, same side interior. Huh? Same side interior. They're on the same side of the transversal in between the lines. And what does same side interior mean? Supplementary, right? Which means they're going to add to be what? Yep. So we're going to take the angle 3, which they said was 3y minus 2, plus the angle 5, which we figured out was 68 because it's vertical to 8. And that's going to equal 180. Because they are same side, that means they're supplementary. So we're going to add them together, set them equal to 180. And remember this, when I have numbers that are on the same side of the equation, we just put them together as they are. What is negative 2 plus 68? Okay. And then we want to continue to solve for y, so what would I do next? Yep. What is that, 114? I'm going to come over here because I'm out of room. And then we would just...
114 divided by 3.
And so that's going to be 38? Okay. Yes, ma'am. Anybody have any questions? So, like with this one, 3 and 8 were the two that they gave us, and those were not alternate interior, alternate exterior, same side interior, same side exterior, or corresponding. However, we could use vertical angles and then get a relationship. So what I want you to do is I want you to take a minute. And okay, let's start with 1 and 5. Let me highlight. Angle 1 is here, maybe. Try this again. Angle 1 is here. Angle 5 is here. First question, are they both inside my 2 lines? No, so they're not any kind of interiors. Are they both outside of my 2 lines? They're not, are they? Angle 1 is on the outside, but angle 5 is on the inside. So if we look at that, they're what? Corresponding, yes. In order for them to be same side or alternate, they have to either both be in between my parallel lines or both be on the outside of my parallel lines. In this case, one is inside, one is outside. That makes them corresponding. And what relationship do they have? Congruent or supplementary? Congruent. All right, then we're going to take a look at 3 and 6. What do you think about 3 and 6? Alternate interior, yep. And what's their relationship? Congruent. All right, let's see. 2 and 7, what are those?
Alternate exterior.
And what is their relationship? Congruent. All right, then we have 6 and 8. Those are right next to each other on the same line. They're not on 2 different lines. They are not alternate anything or same side anything or corresponding. What are they? Starts with an L.
Linear.
A linear, what? A linear pair. And what do we know about linear pairs? They add up to be 180, which we call that supplementary. And then the last 2, angle 2 and angle 3. What kind of angles are those? Vertical, yep. And vertical angles are always congruent? Congruent? All right, and then that last question, and you can use that picture right there to answer it. How many different angle measures, which we just talked about a second ago, are there among the 8 angles formed when 2 parallel lines are cut by a transversal? Think about what I just erased up here. How many different angle measures were there? In that, there were just 2, right? Okay, there are only 2 different angle measures because 1 and 5, 8 and 4 are the same. 2, 3, 6, and 7 are the same. That's only 2 different angle measures there. Anybody have any questions?